I don't think we need that. And it might be cool to have like a little bit of gravity on these things. And increase the lifespan. It seems like rendering the Godot editor in 4K is a bit much for my old MacBook. I wanted to get a new Mac, but because they're doing that new ARM thing, it's not the right time to buy like a little Mac Mini or something, so we're stuck with some poor performance at the moment. Might have to switch over to my Windows machine. But I mean, like, Godot's, it's not fantastic in terms of performance, but as long as you're keeping the game relatively small and self-contained, like simple, you really shouldn't have like an issue with performance. Okay, so I think we're going to add a test for our player, right? And maybe actually at the player ownership level, and we want to say that when the player ship bangs into a bubble, we expect a signal to be emitted from the player, and then we want to process that signal and add a new node to the scene, right, which is going to be the bubble scene. And let's just also, while we're developing, drop down to this player thing and just turn the tail text on. So I'll show you what that does. Oh, do we have... We don't have any chill hop today. I completely forgot what I was supposed to be doing. I wanted to show something. What did I want to show? Oh yeah, the tail. Okay, so that tail just represents the state of the player's message so far. So it's a very rudimentary visualization of what we want the chain to be. So you can see as we pick up letters, you know, we form a chain behind ourselves of a message, and then what we expect to happen, right, is each letter of that chain should be sort of like a node on a sort of snake tail. So if you ever played Snake before, a little bit like that, but yeah, we want it to feel a little bit more dynamic, and you know, weaving around trying to manage your physics based tail and trying to get through different puzzles by manipulating the message in your tail, I think is going to be sort of the core mechanic. So, okay. So let's look at this player ownership and just get our head around what's happening. So this chain I don't believe should be a chain. Yeah, actually it isn't. I just didn't name it correct. So we're calling this the start link. And I'm not sure whether we really need this, but I think it's kind of cool to visualize that something's always trailing behind the player, even if they're, you know, empty. Just to show the player that like something's happening there. And I also like the idea of maybe always having a start link sort of position here. So one thing I've noticed is that for some reason silly me. I was just about to say, like, I don't like where the pin joint has been placed. So I think we kind of want the pin joint to be like here, right? And then, so let's just save that and see if that works. Because it did feel weird that, oh, nope. Okay, well, that just dropped away, didn't it? Okay, I think this needs to be the start link. So the joints, oh, we definitely want some form of softness, I believe. In fact, I think we probably put it like 2. Okay, so the softness will probably just avoid issues where maybe the player gets stuck, and so it allows the joint to sort of jiggle around a bit and sort of not be such a hard ass about physics, right? I think that's going to be important because if we're too strict on how that joint can move, there we go. All right, so that feels a little better, right? And we are getting a bit of a jump. Not sure what I'll do about that, but okay. And then I think what we need to do is stop disabling the collisions between these objects, right? So this allows the player to essentially collide with itself. Well, its own tail. The player should be able to collide with its own tail, right? Okay, cool. And maybe that softness is causing those jumps. I don't know why. It seems like that's almost happening at a regular interval. Okay, so what if we put the softness right up to 16, which is the maximum? Let's see like how that feels. Might have to turn off those particles. My tail got stuck behind the bubble. That's hilarious. And then if I come, whoa, Jesus. We might need a little bit more friction on the turning as well. It makes it like a little bit too floaty. So if I can come around here, can I pick my tail up again? Yeah. Okay, so that's obviously too soft, right? Although as long as it doesn't get stuck, it kind of feels all right. I need to get better at this game. All right, here we go. Yeah, okay. And then if we sort of swing around, the tail sort of gets lost, doesn't it? I think it's way too soft. Okay, and then if we bring it back down to 0, let's see how that feels. So what we end up having here is, I think we get a collision that just pushes the object a little too far. But I think also we need to disable these particles because it's not so much in the game that it's affecting the performance, but I think it's in the editor. In fact, I might see if I can disable the high resolution mode in my editor because it's my laptop struggles to stream 4K to begin with. So HD, was it HDPI or something? HD. Okay, I know we can disable HDPI in the project settings, which I think makes sense. I guess it's here. HDR is off. Let's not use oversampling. Maybe we'll just make the environment black as well. May as well. It's space. It's supposed to be space. So I'm sure there was the ability. Okay, well, we'll just move on. Okay, yeah, so it's a lot nicer without this these particles in 4K. All right. In the final build of the game, we won't have to worry for sure. But just during development, doing 4K streaming at the same time, it's just a bit much. So, all right, cool. So I'm actually quite happy with how that joint feels without softness. I don't know why those. So it seems like it's hitting. What is it hitting? It's when I turn sometimes. What I think is that we're skipping like a frame or something. I think what I'll do is I will add some constraints later to that tail, but for now I think that's fine. Cool. Okay, so we don't actually have any script on the player ownership just yet, but I think what I'd like to do first is write a test for our player and just assert that it's going to shoot a signal. So we don't actually have any signals coming from our player at the moment. So the player has a tail state, but I wonder if that should actually be handled now that we have the player ownership. And move it up to the parent. So if that's the case, yeah, I think that is the case. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a signal up here, and we're going to call it collision result, I guess. I don't know, I can't remember if we can use the same name for a signal and a method. And that's going to get a result passed in, right? And so whenever we collide, right, if we have a collision result, then let's just emit a collision result event.